How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here. Welcome back to another video. So I want to talk for a couple of minutes about a topic that, truth be told, I've tried to avoid this. But we're about 24 hours before the actual launch of The War Within, and I'm at the point where I kind of can't ignore it. It's the profession shuffle. I want to clear the air a little bit, try and put a few people's mind at ease. I suspected for some time that this would mostly fly under the radar as a thing, but it's definitely come to the surface, and especially in the last few days over the streams, for example, even YouTube comments and the likes, lots of people are sort of questioning, do I need to do this shuffle? So to catch people up then, let's maybe talk about what the shuffle is and some of the pros and cons about it. I can't tell you that you should or shouldn't do anything in the game. That is entirely up to you, but I can at least try and get across at least my opinion and some of the pros and cons to doing it. It started ages ago. It started with treasures, and it started with then funneling tools to your main characters, and it's now progressed to what is often being referred to as the deep profession shuffle, or the degen shuffle, whatever you want to call it. And this is gamers doing gamer things for the most part. This is a way for players to be able to progress with their crafting professions, or even gathering professions, to be fair, their professions in general. It's a way for players to be able to progress their professions at a speedier pace than average Joe. Average Joe is going to stroll into the new expansion. They might pick a profession or two. They might look to level up that profession, and they will work within the limitations that is presented to them to progress with that profession. And of course, in the War Within, and just like in Dragonflight, we're going to have things like material qualities and even craft qualities to contest with. This leads players to quite obviously do gamer things. It leads players to start thinking and start figuring out what is the best way to keep ahead of as many players as entirely possible. So the TLDR to the profession shuffle is that you're trying to get as much artisan security as you possibly can in order to be able to use that artisan security to slingshot your progression forward. And with the theory being that the further ahead of others that you are, the better the crafts that you should be able to produce, and in theory then the more gold that you should be able to make. So this is why people want to do it. The question is should people actually do it? I'm on the fence. For starters, I'm somewhat against it because I think it promotes a playstyle that is not particularly too healthy. It doesn't really gel well with the RPG playstyle. Many players, for example, have a long history with their crafting professions on their toons. I, for one, have had the same crafting professions on my main character for nearly 2 decades, for nearly the entire time I've played the game, honestly. Jewel crafting has been my main since the Burning Crusade, and I've had leatherworking for probably nearly almost the same amount of time. So I am not in the position where I'm going to drop those professions for a potential short-term advantage. And it feels odd that other players could push themselves into that. But that's a moral thing. I'm somewhat morally against it from that standpoint, but of course there's nothing to say you can't level up alts and do that same process on an alt instead. And that is all the more likely to be happening going into the War Within. Everybody's just got a whole new flood of remix characters. These characters do not have any history. These are brand new characters. They've never had professions before and are completely open to doing any sort of activities if it can gain you an advantage. So, people's opinions on that side of things specifically are going to differ. So should you do, I refer back to this, should you do it? Well, the answer is if you do want to keep your nose ahead and you want to give yourself a better advantage, then yeah, sure, give it a go. But limit yourself. I said I'd touch on pros and cons in this video, and I wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons, but I wanted to make sure people understand what the concept of the shuffle is, even to begin with, because very quickly some people will go, hell no, that's crazy. Leveling, picking up a profession or two, hyper min-maxing those professions to absorb all of the artisan security you can gain from them, or dropping those professions and then repeating the process again with new professions until you have slowly cycled your way through all of the professions in the game, is going to be, one, incredibly time consuming, two, incredibly expensive. They're the two big things for me. I don't think people quite understand how expensive this could be and how long it could take to do this. For example, we did a little video a few days ago. The process has been nerfed now, but we did a video a few days ago, last week, to do a small mini shuffle to get enough artisan security on an alt to then provide a tool to your main character. You don't need to know about that in too much detail. It's been nerfed. You can't do it. But the point still stands, is that little mini shuffle, which was basically going and doing some herbalism, going and doing some mining, and then, you know, poking around with a couple of other easy things, still took a good few hours to do. And that's the light work. That's the easy bit. That's the easy mode. That gets you about 300-400 artisan security, relatively simply, without any risk or cost to you. And the honest answer is that if you chose to do that on a main character first, if you decided to pick up herbalism, pick up mining, work your way through those, gain as much artisan security as you can from those professions, drop those, pick up skinning, pick up tailoring, pick up some of the cheaper professions and do a little bit, yeah, you'll probably give yourself the advantage of getting one extra rare tool or one extra knowledge book a little bit before the rest of the player base. And even something very simple is going to give you such a big advantage, it's unheard of at the beginning of an expansion. Because most players won't do anything. Most players won't do anything at all. The reason for the beginning of an expansion being such a good time to make gold is because there's so many distractions from everywhere else. There is squirrels from every direction. You've got four brand new zones. You've got an entire new quest line to work through, the entire new campaign to work through. You've got rares to kill. You've got world quests to complete. You've got delves to grind out. You've got reps to grind out. You've got lore master to work on. You've got pre-raid bis to work on. You've everything. There's distractions from every direction. And without question, that is usually enough to prevent most people from even playing with the professions at all. So my perspective on this is that at the beginning of the expansion, it's nearly impossible to not make gold if you at least put some effort in, and the degree of effort you want to put in will dictate the amount of gold that you might be able to make. So doing even a modest shuffle, even picking up just a couple of gathering professions whilst you level, before dropping those at level 80 to pick up your primary profession, should give you that little bit of extra artisan security to push you a little bit forward. Keep your head above water, keep your nose ahead of the rest, whatever analogy you prefer to use. And the reality is that it's almost impossible to not make gold at the beginning of an expansion. This is why I don't recommend to most people to pay too much attention to this deep shuffle that people keep talking about, the degenerate goblin shuffle where you cycle through everything and it potentially is going to cost you millions of gold. Leave that to the handful of people that are not looking to make, a month or two of game time. Leave that in the hands of people that are looking to fully industrialize. The reason they play the game is for the purpose of making gold. Whether you agree with that as a reason to play the game or not is irrespective. Some people do play the game in that way. Just like some people must have the best arena rating. Some people must have the 99 percentile passes on raid bosses. People play the game for different reasons. Each to their own. But the full aggressive deep profession shuffle is ludicrous, absolutely mental. Players who have got more time than they know what to do with, people who've got more alts than they know what to do with, people who already have more gold than what they know to do with, they're the candidates that are going to be looking at doing this, and they've spent months planning and preparing to do exactly this. But all that said and done, the profession system, in my opinion, has been created in such a unique way for the War Within. It kind of allows both players to synergistically play with professions and not really step on each other's toes. Those players who want to do ridiculously outrageous things can go ahead and do it. Yeah, they'll be able to mass produce stuff at quality 3 before the raid even comes out, and will probably be able to make a killing. But it's not going to have any effect on General Joe's ability to also play with the professions and craft a few bits and pieces for himself, make a little bit of gold on the side. Both players can easily and synergistically exist in the same sphere, which is really quite nice to see. So I'm not a big advocate of the shuffle, but it would be hypocritical for me to say don't do it. My suggestion is that the upper limit of players that are going to look at doing this are they're going to do it anyway. If you are content with playing with your professions, making a sizable amount of gold at the beginning, you'll be absolutely fine without doing any of this shuffling malarkey. Don't worry yourself about it too much. Don't stress. It's the beginning of the expansion. Have fun. That is literally the #1 criteria that you should have when playing any video game. Have fun. You might see me doing a little bit of it, but truth be told, I do fall more into that category of somebody that has lots of vaults, has lots of gold. If I spend 500,000 gold trying to cycle through professions and then lose it all in the process, I don't mind as long as I have fun doing it. And I think you guys should take the same mindset. Do it if you think it sounds fun. Do it if you think you want to. But hopefully you can take it from me that it is by no means an essential thing to do. There will still be plenty of opportunities out there for everybody to make a bunch of gold, because at the beginning of an expansion, it's the Wild West. Nobody has any clue what anything is worth. You craft it, you put it on the auction house, you'll have a good time. But at this point, I think I'm probably rambling. I've probably said all I need to say on this. I am really looking forward to early access. It's about 24 hours away at time of recording this video, maybe a little bit more. It's going to be a fun weekend. Let's see what we can, let's see what we can't do. Come join in, say hi over on the stream. I stream both here on YouTube and also on Twitch, twitch.tv/Manthieus. But this isn't meant to be a video where I'm doing any form of sellout. I just wanted to sort of share my opinions. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, boys and girls. Consider subscribing if you're new around here. If I don't see you before, I will see you in the war within. Have a good one. Peace.